This is the reason why I'm recording this, so that everyone who wants to know why I made these choices of the wording of a verse, you know my thoughts, you can see me as I'm going through this, and you can know the reasons and the mental effort I'm putting into these, and you'll know exactly why. It's not a good thing to study and focus and put a lot of energy and time into knowing the ways of the devil and of demons. It's way more important to know God, to know God's laws, God's ways, God's truth, and the ways of doing good. Spend your time doing that. Luke says in the midst. Mark just says, that's it. No, it doesn't mention that. It just goes on to, and he cried with a loud voice. Luke, he came out of him. Okay, so I'm going to have in the midst from Luke, and he cried from Mark. So first him, now only from Luke, in the midst. The comma is in both. Now Mark, and cried with a loud voice. That's only from Mark. Mark, he came out of him. Luke, he came out of him. Okay, that's from both. He came out of him. He, the devil, is he. Well, I don't know if they have gender. And then Luke adds, and hurt him not. That's not in Mark. It's Mark. And they were all amazed, insomuch that they questioned among themselves. Luke, and they were all amazed, and spoke among themselves. Okay, so I'll put whatever's the same first. And they were all amazed, and spoke among themselves. And they were all amazed, insomuch that they questioned among themselves. Okay, that is definitely more descriptive. So I'll go to Mark. Insomuch that they questioned among themselves, saying is both. Okay, both among themselves, saying, what a word is this? What thing is this in Mark? What thing is this? What a word is this? That's strange. What a word is this? I think they may be saying, what a word is this, meaning, what an interesting saying this is that will be spoken. Like the words, when I repeat this, how interesting that is. So, if that's true, then it would make more sense, though, if I said, what a thing is this? Because the thing includes all the events, whereas the word is speaking about all the events. A thing? I don't know if I could put them both. What thing a word is this? What thing a word is? No, that doesn't make any sense. I think I'm just going to go with Mark. What thing is this? Or what a thing is this? Yeah, that sounds good. What a thing is this? Okay, so what is in both. And then from Luke. Now it's Mark only. Thing is this. Is actually written there in Mark, but it's not in Luke. It's added in italics. So I'm going to say that's also from Mark. Is, and then this from both. Question mark. So there's an exclamation point in Luke and a question mark in Mark. I'm going to put them both. Question mark from Luke and then exclamation point. Luke continues, for with authority and power. Mark says, what new doctrine is this? That's weird. What thing is this? What new doctrine is this? That's, wow, I don't ever remember reading that. What thing is this? What new doctrine is this? I'm going to have to put that. I don't ever remember reading that before. Only from Mark. What new doctrine is this? Question mark. For with authority commands he even the unclean spirits. Luke, for with authority and power. Okay, so for with authority is in both. There. Commands he even unclean spirits, and power commands he, or he commands. He commands is in Luke, commands he is in Mark. I'll just have to pick, but before that, just from Luke is and power. He commands the unclean spirits. Commands he even the unclean spirits. Okay, I'll put he commands, because it sounds better. I'll still say it's from both, because it's just a little switched around. He commands the unclean spirits and they come out. Commands he even is from Mark. The unclean spirits, that's both. Comma, and they come out from Luke, comma, and they do obey him in Mark. So I could put them both, and they come out, and they do obey him. Okay, and they do obey him first, and they come out. Yeah, there is a comma in both, and they do obey him. That's from Mark. I'm not going to break up this next sentence because that would be interesting. They obey him. Also, as a side note, they come out. No. Some ministers have full-on conversations with demons, and they try and gather information from demons. They try and learn hidden knowledge, and I highly dissuade and recommend against doing that. Demons are more accurately named deceivers. Don't try and learn things from demons. They will say whatever they can to get you confused, to lie, to get you off track. Don't do that. Just, if they obey you in the name of Jesus, use that to just cast them out and to avoid them, whatever the cost. The Bible says somewhere, I'm not actually sure where, it was Paul writing, I would have you be wise in the ways of the Lord and simple in the ways of evil. Something like that. Basically, know a whole lot about how to do good, God's ways. And if that means even sacrificing, understanding the ways of Satan, the kingdom of darkness, the strategies of the devil, you may need to know it just in order to avoid it, but it's not a good thing to study and focus and put a lot of energy and time into knowing the ways of the devil and of demons. It's way more important to know God, to know God's laws, God's ways, God's truth, and the ways of doing good. Spend your time doing that. So, why that's important is because I'm going to put the comma first. That's why all this matters. Where the comma goes, it matters that much. Even the unclean spirits, comma, from both Mark and Luke, and now from Mark, this is why it matters, and they do obey him, and without a comma, right into Luke, and they come out. And they obey him and they come out. Because coming out is how they obey him. That's what matters, that they leave. And not that you can use them as puppets to control people, which is witchcraft of the highest order. Do not mess around with that. Just, they will obey you to leave. That's what matters. And then after that, Luke goes on, and the fame of him went out into every place of the country round about. And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house. Whereas Mark goes on, and immediately his fame spread abroad throughout all the region round about Galilee, and forthwith, when they were come out of the synagogue, they entered into the house of Simon. Okay, I think I'll include that next verse. His fame spread abroad, his fame went out into every place, and then I'll stop, because the next story is that he goes into Peter's house, and he heals their mother, and that is a different event. So I'll continue on and finish with this. And the fame of him went out, from Luke, and immediately his fame spread. Okay, so I'll say and immediately, and from both. Immediately, from Mark only. His fame, or the fame of him. Which should I put? His fame or the fame of him? The fame of him, his fame. I could include all those words. That might be, I guess, more verbose than necessary. But his fame, I'll be all inclusive. I'll have all the words from Luke. This is going to be a long story. So the is only from Luke. Fame from both. The fame of him. Him, I'm not going to say him is the same as his. So I'm just going to say of him from Luke. Of him went out into every place. Spread abroad. My goodness. Went out into every place or spread abroad. Okay. I like more descriptive words as opposed to using lots of small words to explain an idea. So I'm going to say spread instead of went out. And I'm going to say abroad instead of into every place. I will use more words when necessary, but if there is a word that explains everything, maybe I'm not being consistent in doing that. I like to use all the words because I don't want to be accused of cutting anything out. Went out into every place. Went out into every place. Or spread abroad. Abroad is not as inclusive as every place. So maybe if I put spread out into every place instead of went out into every place, I could spread went. I think just, I don't want to diminish. So if it's spread abroad, that might be diminished from went out into every place. Although not all people throughout the entire world heard about Jesus at this time, so every place is not technically the most accurate. I'm sure there are people in China at the time who hadn't heard about Jesus and wouldn't hear about Jesus for a few hundred years. I'll do that. Spread abroad. You might say it's diminishing, but every place can't be true because there were some people who didn't hear about Jesus for a while. So spread abroad. Spread abroad. That's just from Mark. I don't know. I don't have peace about this. I don't have peace about either one. I can't decide. Okay. I think having what is said in the Gospels, in these writings, be portrayed instead of my understanding is better, is safer. So even though it makes more sense to me to say spread abroad because it definitely didn't go everywhere, I don't want to diminish from what is written in these words. I'll say into every place. It is a bit hyperbole, but hyperbole is all over. When Jesus said, cut off your hand if it makes you sin, he didn't literally mean that. He's not saying pluck out your eye if you sin. He didn't literally mean that. It's hyperbole. I'll include the hyperbole. But I will say spread because I like that more instead of went. So spread only from Mark. And this is the reason why I'm recording this, so that everyone who wants to know why I made these choices of the wording of a verse, you know my thoughts. You can see me as I'm going through this, and you can know the reasons and the mental effort I'm putting into these. And I'm not doing this on a whim. I'm really thinking about this, and you'll know exactly why. I don't have to write hundreds of words explaining all my thoughts. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A speech is worth probably 1,000,000 more. If you can hear someone's thoughts. The fame of him spread Luke out into every place. Mark says throughout all the region round about Galilee, whereas Luke says of the country round about. So into every place. Well, actually, maybe it's not hyperbole anymore. It's not every place. It's. I should have just read ahead. Of the country. Every place of the country. So I could say spread. Well, every place of the country is still more descriptive than just spread abroad throughout. Okay, all the region round about Galilee. So in that case, I like abroad. Because abroad throughout all the region instead of every place of the country. It's too many words. If it's saying the exact same thing. Now, I'll keep it as it is. Spread out into every place throughout all the region. There, I'll have all the hyperbole, all of it. Maybe it's literal. Throughout all the region or of the country. No, throughout. That's more descriptive. Throughout all the region. So that's only from Mark. And the mental effort I'm putting into this, it's worth it. This is going to take me years. I'd be amazed if this only takes me several months. It's going to take me forever. Throughout all the region round about Galilee or all of the country round about. So region or country? So all the region, the country round about, or region, country. I'll say region round about Galilee, because about Galilee, you can say Galilee is the country, but the region could be larger than Galilee. Yeah, I'll keep it as region, and then from both is roundabout, and then I'll say, instead of just Galilee, I'll say the country, earlier Galilee. I'll say the country Galilee. The country from Luke, and then only from Mark, Galilee. There. And then afterwards it goes into the story of them going to Simon Peter's house and healing his mother. So I think that's a good place to stop.